to all. I'm Neha Bharadwaj Alter, and this is Game On, where we get you the latest from the ongoing World Cup. And what a tournament this has been for Afghanistan. Another clinical win over Sri Lanka has put them in the 5th position on the points table. They are telling the world, wait for us, we might just prove all of you wrong. And you know what? There is a chance, there is a possibility that they might enter the top 4. It's a difficult one, but we'll tell you how Afghanistan can qualify in the top 4. They've looked more in control of their games than teams like England, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and will look to carry that confidence in their next game. And talking about confidence, can Pakistan find some of it to beat Bangladesh today? Even as their chief selector and former captain Inzamam-ul Haq stepped down last evening, citing conflict of interest. Chetan Narula is here with us. Jamie Alto will be joining us as well. Chetan, they seem to have hit rock bottom. We were talking about, the mess that Pakistan cricket is in. And it almost seems like just when you think that, okay, nothing more can go wrong, there's a new story that comes out now with the selectors stepping down. Can this team just sort of put all this aside and concentrate on, on the action on the field?
Hello, Meha. No, it looks impossible to be able to do that. I mean, every day there is some or the other story that's really coming out. I mean, last night, obviously, there's Inzamam-ul Haq story. Then there's also the story that they refused to eat dinner in the team hotel and they ordered some biryani and kebab. I'm just waiting for some Pakistan fan to come out with another meme song. You know, how much biryani are you going to eat? Even when things are going wrong, how much biryani do you really want right now? Look, this is a nightmare situation. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a Pakistan fan or a Pakistan related to a Pakistan, cricket as an analyst or as a journalist. It's not my 24/7 job to follow Pakistan cricket. That would be an absolute nightmare because what is really happening? We are in the middle of a World Cup. The team is really not doing well on the field. There's no unity in the dressing room. There's no unity on the field, as we saw in the last game against Afghanistan. And now the chief selector has stepped down because they're having an inquiry in the middle of a tournament, which is really, really disappointing. So I think it was a time for Pakistan cricket to present a united face, which they have not been able to do. And there is no doubt in my mind that it is going to impact their performance on the field as well. Bangladesh haven't beaten, Pakistan since the 1999 World Cup. Today is a golden chance just to do that.
Absolutely. And you know what? They look to do it because, as Chetan was saying, Jamie, this team has hit rock bottom on the field, off the field. It doesn't help that Babar Azam's WhatsApp messages get leaked and they're plastered all over, national TV channels in Pakistan, on social media. Now, the rift has only deepened because what we are hearing is that Inzamam-ul Haq stepping down is because of a conflict of interest problem where Inzamam-ul Haq is one of the directors of a company which has Mohammad Rizwan as the other director and another director who owns an agency which represents 70% of this Pakistan team. I'm going to get into the details of this, but this is ek hota hai ki dal mein kuch kala hai. This is kali dal. Everything is wrong right now with Pakistan cricket.
And you're telling me that they've realized this now. I mean, who are we kidding, right? Everyone was aware of this.
Yeah.
There's nothing new. Go to their Twitter accounts. The said agent's name pops up on half the players' Twitter bios. 2 of them he's now vanished very conveniently. I've heard that name before. It's very, very obvious. This happens, Meha, when your cricket team is the laughing stock of the World Cup. Okay. That said, I heard what Chetan said. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. I still think Bangladesh are actually worse than them. I'll tell you why. Bangladesh cricket has been playing since I think the late 80s. Okay. In 35 years of one-day cricket, I have never once had the faith in this team doing something. Of course, Pakistan is on a downward spiral. We've said this is their worst Pakistan, but man to man, if there's one team I believe this team will beat, it's going to be Bangladesh. Do you know when you look back at their only win so far against Afghanistan, Afghanistan should have taken that match. Afghanistan should have been 4 wins from now. But look, just coming back to this Pakistan team, I mean, I'm reading articles. I'm trying to see because I'm very, very keen to see. Obviously, I can't just go by what the three of us keep talking about. But I'm trying to figure out what are people saying, like what are they reasoning is the problem. People are trying so hard to bring in stats and this and that. Can we just accept that this team is just not working, right from the selectors down to the playing staff? I mean, how many times have we done shows when we're trying to dissect the excuses made by the PCB? The PCB is a reflection of the Pakistan setup, and the Pakistan team is a reflection of that same setup and the same PCB. And this joker who we keep seeing on our screen saying, "Oh, I'm going to step down now because someone has raised this now." Who are we kidding? This is just a joke of a Pakistan team, man.
Okay, so what seems to have happened with Inzamam ul Haq? Let's take you through that. Inzamam, just when you thought things couldn't get worse for Pakistan cricket, they just did. And they proved you wrong yet again. Now, yesterday, what had happened was Inzamam ul Haq, he stepped down. Why did he step down? Because of some uncomfortable questions being asked about Inzamam ul Haq, where there were reports in the media that said that Inzamam ul Haq was a director in a company called Yazoo International. It is a UK-based company. Now, this particular company, what this has done is that it has 4 directors. One is Inzamam ul Haq, the other is wicketkeeper Mohammad Rizwan, who is the director. And then there is a third director in this particular company called Talha Ramani, who is also the managing director of Saya Corporation. What is Saya Corporation? It's an agency that represents prominent players like Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan, Shaheen Shah Afridi, and the others. So 70% of this team is basically represented by this Saya Corporation, which means now what people are asking is it okay to have Inzamam ul Haq, the national selector, be a director of a company which also has Mohammad Rizwan, who is a player in the team, as the other director of the company, and then have the third director who basically has an agency which represents half the team. That's where, when the talks of favoritism, some players being preferred over the others, that's where those particular questions are rising from. And I think that's the problem with this team. Let's go across to Chetan as well. Chetan, just talking about it, I mean, we've seen conflict of interest problems here in India as well, with some former cricketers. There have been, a former captain who had a player agency, and of course, not much was spoken about. But yes, very clearly there were problems here in India as well with some of the top players. But to have this come out in a World Cup, I think it can't get worse than that, because the world's eyes are on you. Everyone's watching you. You were the #1 ranked ODI team 6 weeks ago. So people think that, you are one of the favorites, these conditions, the subcontinental conditions. World's eyes on you, and that's when everything's going wrong for Pakistan. So I think that can't make it, this is the worst that it has been for them, right?
No, I mean, let's look at it from both perspectives. First of all, let's look at the player agency thing. I'm actually a little bit stunned, really, that Mohammad Rizwan is a director on that agency, and then that agency has another corporation which is mixed up in the agency, which has signed up those other players. It's like David Beckham trying to run Miami FC and then also coaching Miami FC and then also being a selector for Miami FC and then also being a player for Miami FC. So it's just bizarre. It's probably the most bizarre thing I've heard. yes, you can compare it with some of the Indian players who were tied up with a couple of agencies in the last 10, 12 years. But again, no playing captain or no player had a direct interest in those companies. They were companies of their friends who had a lot of players on their rolls at that particular time. It happened with obviously two prominent Indian players, but again, they did not have an active interest in those agencies. So yes, I get your analogy, but this is this is beyond weird. And now the other part of it is this is not new information. Probably, like Jamie said, this information has been available on their Twitter handles for a while now. I'm sure this information was known to the people in the PCB for a long time now, and that is where the bigger question arises. Why now? Why, after this kind of performance, are you trying to do this? Are you trying to bring this information to light and saying that, okay, now we need to put on an inquiry and say who is doing what really? So the timing of it is really circumspect. And also let us be very, very clear that, this should have been done for the sake of Pakistan cricket. This should have been done probably a long time ago, 6 months leading up to the World Cup or 3 months leading up to the World Cup, when you really needed to set your house in order. But at that time, they were busy blaming the BCCI, writing emails to the ICC, doing this, doing that, basically trying to needle BCCI in whatever way they could. And I think that has just come back. People say that karma really comes back to bite you. So I think that's what really happened with Pakistan cricket, that they have imploded in a tournament which is being organized by the BCCI. So, yeah, I think it's a circus at the moment. There's no doubt about it. And we've got front row seats to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, yesterday's result of Afghanistan winning has made things worse for Pakistan, who have 4 points and need to win all their remaining matches to have that mathematical contention for the semis. Their opponents today in Kolkata, however, have only Champions Trophy qualification to play for. Bangladesh are out of the running for the top four with just one win out of 6 matches. And today we'll have to find a way to stop a wounded Pakistan team from bouncing back from 4 defeats in a row. These teams know each other's strengths and weaknesses, but given how flat Bangladesh have been in this tournament and how close Pakistan pushed South Africa in their last match, one would think that Babar Azam's team has a slight edge. Jamie, how are you looking at today's game?
I mean, look, I think Pakistan are coming off 4 losses and Bangladesh are coming off 5 losses. Yes, we can all agree that given the status attached to them, England are officially the worst team and they're at number 10. But England still have a David Willey, they have some players. Bangladesh, to my mind, they just don't have anyone, right? I mean, Shakib Al Hasan can, like he's playing the IPL, he thinks he can just go home for a few days to work with his personal coach. I don't know. Something is not right to my mind with this Bangladesh team. And again, I mean, yes, Pakistan have been abject and I've been calling them out, but I still think in this match, they are the ones with the edge. Because if you can at least push South Africa to the brink and lose by just 1 wicket, you've done some things right. Man to man, they have a Babar. Okay, he's not stood up, but he's done more than Bangladesh's captain has done this World Cup. They've got a Shaheen Afridi. Abdullah Shafiq's got a couple 50s. Imam has got a couple 50s. So man to man, they have more working parts. Yes, it's a broken car from every aspect. It's a car that's lying. Excuse me, I got a very bad cough. It's a opened, disheveled, wrecked Pakistan car that's lying in the garage with many mechanics trying to fix it. But it's still better than that broken down bus with 4 flat tires that is the Bangladesh team. So I do not see Bangladesh really challenging this Pakistan team despite the various obvious problems, because they just don't have that level of skill. And it's somewhat saddening that despite playing what 15, 18, 20 years more than Afghanistan. Afghanistan cricket has actually risen more than Bangladesh. I mean, Chetan mentioned that he wouldn't want to be a Bangladesh fan, a Pakistan fan. I agree. But what does the Bangladesh fan really have to go for? Your team is frankly a laughing stock as far as I'm considered.
Shakib Al Hasan, you think it has helped him? It didn't clearly help him going back home to practice with his childhood coach, because Netherlands thrashed them and Shakib Al Hasan didn't do much then. It doesn't help when, these kind of things happen. You're the captain. You've got to be with the team. You've got to help the team. Instead, you do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now Pakistan and Bangladesh are both competing in trying to see who does the more idiotic thing, really. You have the whole PCB circus, Inzamam, their director, their captain, WhatsApp messages, and everything. And on the other hand, you have Bangladesh, where after a terrible loss, Netherlands, the captain just decides, oh, you know what? I'm going to go and work on my personal issues, on my individual game with my personal coach back home, and he flies off. Like Jamie said, there is something cooking in that dressing room as well. However, the one point of differentiation that I do have from Jamie is that for all the differences that they might have in that dressing room, the Bangladesh dressing room can still unite behind that common purpose of beating Pakistan. When we talk about the average Bangladesh cricket fan, to them, nothing matters more than beating India or Pakistan on the field. The India-Bangladesh rivalry and the Pakistan-Bangladesh rivalry, they have been bubbling for the last few years. And, Pakistan has had rivalries with everybody now, India, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, maybe a little bit with Sri Lanka as well. But the Pakistan-Afghanistan and Pakistan-Bangladesh rivalries only are second to the Pakistan-India rivalry. So in that particular sense, despite their differences, I feel that the Bangladesh dressing room can still unite behind a common cause of beating Pakistan on the field. Can Pakistan do that? That for me is the biggest question getting into this game. Can the likes of Rizwan and Afridi, can they back Babar on the field? Yes, man to man, individually, they've got the runs as compared to the Bangladesh side, not to anybody else.
Yeah.
They've got the wickets as compared to Bangladeshi side, not to anybody else. But can they unite behind a common goal of winning this game, of winning this rivalry? I have my doubts, and that's why I think Bangladesh do have a good chance today.
I also think, Jamie, it's been a collective loss of form for Bangladesh as well. I mean, this is the team that beat India, some time back. This is a team that was actually doing well in ODIs, but to see them in the World Cup completely collapse. I mean, Liton Das has been inconsistent. A lot was dependent on him and how he performs. We already knew that their openers, haven't been good, haven't been in form. But to see Liton Das not being able to be consistent, Najmul Hussain Shinto, he's not been scoring a lot of runs. It almost seems like, just like Pakistan, where they're struggling with their batting, Bangladesh have struggled with their batting throughout.
Again, it just goes back to, three decades of inconsistency. In these 3 decades, they've had 5 probably consistent, I'm going to use the word world beaters, because at any given time, these 5 players have done things which have beaten the top teams, but they still haven't really moved beyond, right? They're still so hung up on the Shakibs, the Tameems. I mean, Tameem loses one series to Afghanistan, calls a press conference, cries and says, okay, I'm going, So Pakistan and Bangladesh teams, they just seem to be, stuck in a time warp. They're very emotional. They're prone to some idiotic statements, some really strange moves. Professional teams don't do this, right? When did Steve Smith cry at a press conference? He cried after he was caught in a ball tampering case,
Yeah.
Indian players don't go out there and get emotional. Yes, there's skill, but you need a certain steely resolve which shields you from these things. And unfortunately, I mean, how many times has Shakib had to serve, I'm really sorry, has served 6-month, 12-month bans because of attitude? He punched an umpire, he kicked the stumps, he failed to reveal a booking attempt. You cannot be taken seriously as a cricketing side when you have a very limited talent pool, you are very inconsistent in your selections, and then you have these leaders that do some strange things. That's why I'm putting them in the same boat as Pakistan. The difference is their board does not make inane statements. Yes, the CEO seems to make statements against their local players, especially in one Bangla daily, but their board doesn't have the audacity of the PCB to go raising issues, which are clearly beyond their pay grade. So that is the difference. But these two teams, are we surprised that they're so abject in this World Cup? We shouldn't be. They don't play as much one days, first of all, as the top teams do. And if they do play, they don't play enough against the top teams, right? If Bangladesh and Pakistan played Australia every 12 months, 18 months, I would expect their level to grow. Who does Bangladesh play? Majority the associate teams. I think Zimbabwe goes there twice a year. Sri Lanka goes there twice a year. Yes, they beat India. Full credit to them, but India took their eye off the ball in that series. Same with Pakistan. Before this World Cup, they played some 7 or 8 ODIs against New Zealand and then 3 against Afghanistan. So they're coming into these two teams, which are the worst. Yes, England are the worst, but none of us thought they'd be the worst. I expected Bangladesh to be the worst World Cup team behind the Netherlands, and I expected Pakistan to finish sixth or seventh, which they probably will. But when you don't have that quality of player and you don't play enough teams, we really shouldn't be surprised that they are where they are in this World Cup.
Okay, we are going to come back to this match between Pakistan and Bangladesh, but the World Cup just keeps getting better for Afghanistan cricket team. On Monday in Pune, the Afghans inflicted another defeat on Sri Lanka to make it successive victories and 3 overall, which keeps them in contention for the semi-finals. Having opted to field, Afghanistan bowled out Sri Lanka for 241 in 49.3 overs and then cantered to victory with 4.5 overs remaining. Back in the 11 for this match, seam bowler Fazal Haq Farooqi started off by dismissing Dimut Karunaratne in the 6th over and later returned to add Charit Asalanka, Angelo Matthews and Mahesh Deekshana for figures of 4 for 34. The only batters to really put up a fight were Pathum Nissanka, who made 46, and Kusal Mendes and Sadira Samaravikrama, who got into the 30s. Afghanistan's chase got off to a poor start when Rahmanullah Gurbaz was out for a duck in the first over, but Rahmat Shah, who made 62, and then Ibrahim Zadran, he put on 72 before a match-clinching partnership was formed between skipper Hashmatullah Shahidi, who finished not out on 58, and Azmatullah Omarzai with 73. The pair putting on 111 for the 4th wicket. The 7-wicket win puts Afghanistan at the 5th place on the points table and the only team right now with 6 points. But what a win for Afghanistan cricket, Chetan, to see this team. Who would have thought in this tournament that Afghanistan would have had 3 wins? And I asked you this yesterday, that all of us want Afghanistan to win. I think the second team that everybody is supporting right now is Afghanistan, just because of the fairy tale story that this has been.
Well, usually the second team is New Zealand, but this time around the New Zealand challenge is seeming up, quite a bit fair. And I would say, if they do get to the semi-finals or the final against India, a lot of Indian cricket fans will be a little scared, a little wary. So yes, it augurs well that Afghanistan is obviously the second team, and also for a good reason, because as we have discussed in the show in the past, Afghanistan do play a lot of cricket here in India. They're strongly attached to the Indian masses through the IPL, and also the fact that they play some of their home games in India, be it Noida, then Dehradun, now Lucknow. So a lot of these players have grown up playing in India to a large extent, perhaps similar to the kind of relationship that the Indian stars have with the Indian cricket fans. So that camaraderie is there, that relationship is there. And that's why I think a lot of the Indian cricket fans are really cheering for them, supporting for them. Not to mention there are a lot of Afghan people living in India, in different parts of India, as refugees or people who have come in here to find work, to find a new life. And they are happy to support their team. They're happy to find tickets when they can. I mean, India-Afghanistan match, I'm sure there were not a lot of Afghan people there, couldn't find tickets. But the non-India game, they are there. They're there to cheer their side. And look, we discussed this on the show last evening. While the show was on, Rahmanullah Gurbaz got out. And you had asked me this question, can Afghanistan still do this? So we discussed how this was a target that was doable for the rest of their batting lineup, their lower order with the all-rounders who can hit big. But the main question for me was whether their number 2, 3, 4 can stand up. We had Ibrahim Zardan, who gave them a bit of a platform. Then Rahmat Shah gave that, again, took that a little further. Then the skipper, Hashmatullah, he did his bit. And then you had the all-rounder, Omarzai. He's come in and scored a very good 50. So their batting core, as limited as it is, stood up yesterday. And I think that has been really good to see. A couple of weeks back, I said Afghanistan's only way to win is bat first, put up 280, and then use their spinners. It's heartening to see that they have changed the script around. Yeah. They were overconfident against New Zealand, but since then, They have really buckled down. They've listened to what their coaches and mentors are saying, and they've really buckled down. It's brilliant to watch. And I'll just repeat what I said the last time they won. Couple more good batsmen and one more fast bowler, and this is a world-beating side in the making.
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly, because what we've seen now, Jamie, is that two back-to-back matches where they've kept their cool in the chase. You know, at no point did you feel like they were, that they could get out of it. Nobody played rash shots. They knew exactly what to do. And of course, credit has to be given to Jonathan Trott. We all saw that there was this whiteboard where he'd broken the innings down. He said, you know, in these many overs, let's try to get 100 runs or 50 runs. And then from 20 to 30 overs, let's get another 50 runs. So I think there's a lot of planning that's gone into it. But it's one thing to plan, to be able to execute it. And in two matches now, against Pakistan, they chased down 280 plus. Here, they again didn't look in trouble at all. So you've got to also see that they're beyond, you know, the spin quartet that everybody keeps talking about. They are more than just Rashid Khan and Mohammad Nabi. This team now is full of absolutely brilliant players.
Absolutely, and you know, and just to take on from what Chetan was saying, you know, we've discussed, you know, they need in the middle order is a problem, but in the last two matches, you're getting runs from 3, 4, 5, you know, so if they can just get, you know, look, I think Mohammad Nabi gets a lot of credit for where this team has risen and what he's done, because he's been playing the longest of all these players, and he's had a massive, you know, imprint. But barring, you know, one match against England where he really dried the runs up, he's not done anything, you know. So I think this is definitely that passing of the baton. His role in this World Cup is sort of like what Sunil Gavaskar had in the 1980 World Cup. Just his presence was massive for that team. But Sunil Gavaskar didn't do a blooming thing in that World Cup. I'm not saying Afghanistan winning this World Cup, but for a team which has come into the tournament with very few backers, and to win 3 matches now, and have your most senior player, your most influential player, with all due respect to Rashid Khan, not doing much, it just shows how far this team has come. Chetan mentioned they need another fast bowler. Absolutely correct, because Naveen ul Haq has said, I'm not playing ODIs after this. And on paper, he's 23 years old. So they're going to need bowlers. But just something you mentioned, right, that they have players to rotate. They sat out Fazlul Farooqi, who did very well, Meha. We were at the ground in that upset over England. He sits out, and Noor Ahmed comes in and ends up being the most successful bowler on the day. For your next match, you drop your most successful bowler, you bring back that seamer, and he's your most successful bowler. How often have we had the opportunity to talk about depth in Afghanistan cricket? So there is clear depth. If you can rotate match winners, right, you're clearly onto something. They'll have to budget for the absence, like Chetan said, of Naveen ul Haq. They're going to need 2 more fast bowlers. There are a couple of them. I've seen them play test matches in India. I can't remember their names, but they look decent. Maybe they've sort of been pigeonholed as red ball players. But I think this World Cup has taught us, especially when you look at the Pakistan team, how the absence of red ball cricket can have an adverse effect on your one day success. So I think that's there. Like Chetan said, 1 more batsman. And again, Mohammad Nabi will not be playing after this World Cup. He's been their flag bearer. Rashid took it over and then raised the stakes a bit. But the fact for me that Mohammad Nabi is actually not doing anything and they've still won 3 matches just shows to how Chetan said 4 years from now, they should be and could be world beaters.
Okay, now after 3 wins and 3 former champions have been beaten by Afghanistan, everybody is wondering, is there a chance that they can make it to the top 4? So here is the scenario for Afghanistan and all the Afghanistan cricket fans. With 6 points after as many games, they are currently sitting in the 5th position on that points table. So above them are Australia and New Zealand. They've got 8 points each. Now, Afghanistan are set to play against Netherlands, Australia and South Africa in their remaining fixtures, and they can finish with a maximum of 12 points. Even after winning all their remaining games, the Afghans are not guaranteed a spot in the Final 4, as they would need one of Australia, who are on 8 points, or New Zealand, again on 8 points, to lose ideally 2 of their 3 remaining games. If Afghanistan end up winning all their games and Australia and New Zealand also win 2 of their 3 games, then the team with the best net run rate will go through. Losing any of their remaining matches of the group stage would place Afghanistan at a massive risk of losing out on qualification. And then losing against Australia or South Africa, that would be the end of the story for the resilient Afghans. So the only way that they can make it to the top four is that win all their games and then just hope that Australia and New Zealand do not win 2 matches each. So that's the scenario for this team. But the fact that we're even talking about this just goes on to show the kind of impact that this team's made on all of us, Chetan.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And 3 champions, they're champion killers, England 2019, Pakistan 92, Sri Lanka 96. Australia, the biggest scalp of them, all 5-time champions. So they're yet to play them. And who knows what could happen. But yes, like we discussed yesterday, this tournament has all kinds of mathematical permutations and combinations possible. I think each game is going to become really important. If you consider the possibilities of top 4, the games that those teams are playing against each other will probably determine what is the minimum requirement for the 4th place team to get into the knockouts. Is it going to be 8 points? Is it going to be 10 points? Or is it going to be 12 points? I think that bit is going to be determined when New Zealand, when New Zealand plays South Africa, which is in a couple of days' time. In fact, that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, yes.
And obviously then we have Australia, England, which is their next game on Saturday, I think. So I think, and then obviously there's India, South Africa. So I think these games are going to decide how much does the 4th place team need. And then obviously there are permutations and combinations in the rest of the games. Afghanistan have a great chance. Netherlands, that should be 2 points for them. So that takes them up to 8? And then they should fancy themselves to beat one of Australia and South Africa. South Africa have already lost to Netherlands, but who says they can't lose another? I'm sure Jamie will agree that they can choke again, choke twice in this tournament.
Okay, let's just come back to the match that we will be watching today, which is in Kolkata at the Eden Gardens, where Bangladesh have won the toss and they have opted to bat first. The pitch, the last match that Bangladesh lost to Netherlands here, that had a bit of turn and bounce, but this is a different pitch. So we'll see how that plays out. Not too much of information about the pitch as of now, but yes, it will bring spinners into play. That's what the pitch report says by Nasir Hussain and Shane Watson. Though Bangladesh have won the toss and they have opted to bat first. Jamie, how do you look at this?
Very good call. You need to put that Pakistan batting under pressure. Again, I'm not saying Bangladesh have an edge because they've not personally really inspired me with the batting. They have talent. I mean, Najmul Hussain Shanto is a very fine bat. Liton Das has some very good numbers, but unfortunately they're not doing so well. But the best chance for them to beat Pakistan, to my mind, would be to try and put up 260, 270. It's Eden Gardens. I believe only one match has happened here so far, but we know it sort of leans on the slower side. Both teams they have spinners, but here is if you want that one edge, definitely in the spinning department, it's Bangladesh that have the edge because Shadab Khan has not turned up, Mohammad Nawaz has not turned up, and Usama Mir has not turned up. So if Shakib can somehow stand up with the bat, get this team, spearhead this team to 260, 270, then I would say they have a chance of doing it. But just a gut feeling says that Pakistan's going to have a good match after a long, long time.
Do you think that now they've reached that point where they've been completely demoralized? I mean, as they say, if you've hit rock bottom, the only way is up. And maybe today is that day for Pakistan. Chetan?
Well, that's true for literature. I'm not sure that's true for Pakistan cricket. I mean, if Pakistan cricket hits rock bottom, what they do is they tend to find something 50 feet below that and then find something 50 feet. So they just keep on digging and digging and digging. I'm just going to disagree with Jamie. I think Bangladesh have a good chance today. I think I'm going to back Bangladesh like I backed Afghanistan yesterday. Winning this toss and opting to bat first is a dicey proposition because dew can play a part in Kolkata and help the side chasing. But I'm not sure dew is having that impact in this tournament really. it's having an impact on the captain's decisions. It's probably not having an impact on the outcomes, on the results, as we have been discussing. So good toss to win. Opting to bat, not putting yourself under pressure, but putting the opposition under pressure, and then, take a few early wickets, and who knows what could happen, really. I think anything above 280 and Pakistan will struggle to chase it down.
Okay, Shakib Al Hasan at the toss says that they would have wanted that they'll bat first. He says it looks like a dry wicket. They played the last game here, so he talks about that, and he says it was slow, there was turn, we have nothing to lose, we have to play well in the first 10 overs, and hopefully we can go from there. He says there isn't much difference between in here and Dhaka in terms of culture, so hopefully we'll have some good support. That is Shakib Al Hasan at the toss. Babar Azam says we would also have liked to bat first. There might be some swing in it early on because there is some moisture in it. Last match we were good in all three departments. There was some good energy. I'm also waiting for a big innings. I'll try to convert into 100. 3 changes. So there are 3 changes for this Pakistan team, which is Shadab and Nawaz out. Imam Ul Haq is out as well. Fakhar Zaman is in. Salman is in. And Usama Mir is in. So now they've gone the England way. They've just made changes and said, ab ye bhi try kar lete hain, because they've tried everything. But Jamie, it just also comes down to Babar Azam not being able to convert his innings into a big knock. He was supposed to be that player. The others around him can score the 40s and the 50s. Babar Azam was the one who was meant to score bigger knocks for this team if they wanted to do well. And clearly he's failed in that.
Absolutely, he's failed, and I was kind of looking forward to him saying that after 3 changes, these 3 are ill, they have viral, but he's not gone down that road. So, look, I mean, I'll come to Babar, but again, I mean, when you're making 3 changes, and those 3 changes, to my mind, aren't going to make much of a difference, it just underlines why we're talking about this Pakistan being so poor. I mean, Mohammad Nawaz does not spin the ball. I get it. Ravindra Jadeja doesn't spin the ball much. But there's a certain skill and a class and a thinking to what Ravindra Jadeja does. Mohammad Nawaz doesn't have that, Shadab has been a colossal failure. If you're going back, I mean, it's like what? They're sort of playing musical chairs. You bring in Usama Mir. He has a terrible match against Australia. He did slightly better in the loss to South Africa. Then he comes and goes. I don't know. I don't think it really matters what Pakistan, what changes they make. We all know how broken they are. Again, I think they have 200s. One has come from Shafiq when he replaced Fakhar Zaman in the 11, and the second came from Mohammad Rizwan when they chased 345 against Sri Lanka. Barring that, not many batsmen have even gotten past 50. I think Babar has done it twice, but both times he's been accused of being a little slow, of not stepping on the gas, and then, like you said, Maya, not converting those into hundreds. I would have fancied Babar's chances of getting 100 against this Bangladesh team had Pakistan been batting first. But like Chetan said, and now seeing these changes, if Bangladesh can get to 280, I just don't see Babar stepping up then, because once you cross 270, 20% is just scorecard pressure. Can an out of form Babar cope with scorecard pressure and strike rate pressure? I'm not so sure. So suddenly I'm leaning slightly more to Bangladesh after seeing these changes that Pakistan have made.
And how big is this match for someone like a Liton Das, Chetan? Because for them, the Champions Trophy is at stake as well. They'd want to win this so that they can qualify for the Champions Trophy next year.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's not just Liton Das, and I think it's
Their
also for the other, for their batting overall. I mean, you asked this question to Jamie earlier, in terms of what Bangladesh. There are a couple of things that's really not working well for Bangladesh cricket. First of all, they are bigger superstars in Bangladesh than Indian cricketers are in India, which is saying a lot, because in India we treat our cricketers as demigods, literally. But imagine somebody bigger than that, and that's Bangladesh cricketers. They are superstars beyond reckoning in Bangladesh, which is one of the reasons why the Bangladesh Cricket Board is not able to clamp down on indiscipline the way it should, the way other cricket boards are. I'm not talking about Pakistan Cricket Board here, but they're just not able to clamp down on indiscipline in the cricketing ranks, whether it's at the lower level or it's in Dhaka Premier League or whatever it is, in their first-class structure or in international cricket. Shakib Al Hasan, like Jamie outlined, is a prime example. Any other board, be it England, Australia, India, There's no way a star cricketer gets away with half the antics that Shakib Al Hasan has done. Now comes the other part, which is on field, where I think they have a couple of good experienced players who are in the last legs in terms of their international careers. Then they have some other players like Litan Das, you mentioned, who has the experience. Somebody like a Muhammadullah, who has the experience, or a Mehndi Hasan Miraz, who's just getting that experience. But have they converted that experience into performances like Shakib has, like Mushfiqur has? No. And then they have the youngsters who are not really stepping up to the plate. You can't really say the future of Bangladesh cricket is secure because they're being given opportunities, but are they stepping up to the plate? That's not really happening. So throughout this 15, there is a bit of a disconnect. There's experienced players and senior players who are stars, and then there are youngsters who are not really stepping up. There's a bit of a disconnect. It seems like a very disjointed Bangladesh side, and that has been my problem with their performances. But that's the question. It's not just about Litan Das. Can all of them? Tanzid Hassan, I know for a fact there's a lot of hopes onto him. Najmul Shanto, for that matter, you know. And then you have Mehndi Hasan Miraz, who's considered to be the future superstar.
Yeah.
Can they all step up to the plate today? Like I said, the common goal in this rivalry, the common goal of beating Pakistan, can they really step up to the plate? That is the only question mark for me today.
Yeah, let's spice things up. Let's have that Nagin dance again, you know, win and then see Mushfiqur Rahman losing it.
They haven't done the Nagin dance against Pakistan, you know, because they don't really win against Pakistan that much.
Sri Lanka.
It's against Sri Lanka and India. So it'll be good to see it against Pakistan as well.
My gosh. Was Mushfiqur Rahim the most irritating person when Bangladesh beat India in 2007 in the West Indies? The 2007 World Cup, the way he celebrated, Jamie, I guess, you know, I have not been able to forget that bit for till now. I mean, every time I look at him, I'm just reminded of how he celebrated after India lost.
Chige, it was 2007. He was, I think, in his second year of international cricket. It was a massive moment, and I get it. I mean, a lot of people won't forget that, but I think for me, the image of him is in that 2016 T20 World Cup match when they needed 8 off the final over, and Mahmudullah hit two boundaries. I mean, it's 8 or 9 runs, and the way that Mushfiqur celebrated at the non-strikers end, it's like they'd won the World Cup. A certain MS Dhoni behind the stumps didn't bat an eyelid. He just took off one glove and said, "It's not over till it's over." So for me, the image of him more than the Nagin dance, the Nidahas Trophy, more than him losing his cool, I mean, in celebration in 2007, was the image of him pumping. Mahmudullah wasn't celebrating. Why are you celebrating? You know.
Oh
and then Hardik Pandya bowled. So for me, that image of Mushfiqur
I think, but that feeling only came because we'd seen what he'd done in 2007. It was almost like
absolutely.
Isko to harana hai. Okay, guys, prediction time. Quickly, we'll wrap this up, Chetan.
Bangladesh to get in excess of 280, probably say 285, 290, something like that, and to win the game. Oh, but we have a 6 p.m. game, right?
Yes.
So we'll keep the winner's prediction for that.
Okay,
Jamie? Bangladesh to get 280 plus.
Okay. Jamie?
Yeah, I'm going to say 265.
Okay, so 280 plus and 265. I'll take you up on that. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us here, Chetan and Jamie. That's it then. It is Bangladesh versus Pakistan, and Bangladesh have won the toss. They have opted to bat first. We'll get you all the latest at 6 p.m. Do join us then. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Literally every major power in the